Have you ever been pressed in public before? Now imagine being pressed in the middle of a luxury gala surrounded by billionaires, politicians, and high-class socialites, a- and every single restroom occupied. Don't go anywhere because what this high-class lady went through that night, you won't believe how she survived it. Kingsley and Miranda Adams stepped into the grand hall. Every single head turned, but not for both of them, only for Valeria. The massive doors opened slowly, revealing a flood of golden light from within. The sound of soft music and rich laughter spilled out, but the moment the two women walked in, everything shifted. Valeria didn't try. She didn't force attention. She simply existed, and the room surrendered. Her gown flowed like liquid elegance, hugging her figure with effortless perfection. Every step she took was calm, controlled, and dangerously graceful. Her eyes were steady, her posture flawless, like a woman who had never known embarrassment a day in her life. Whispers followed instantly. Who is she? That girl in pink gown, that's Valeria Kingsley. The Valeria? Men paused mid-conversation. Some forgot what they were saying entirely. Others adjusted their suits, suddenly aware of themselves. Because when Valeria walked in, confidence became competition. Beside her, Miranda Adams smiled, a perfect, polished smile, but her fingers tightened slightly against her clutch as she watched it happen again. Just like always. The attention, the admiration, the obsession, all directed at Valeria. Every single man in the hall couldn't look away from her, their eyes betraying them as they followed Valeria's every movement. Miranda's smile didn't drop, it sharpened. She smiled at everyone greeting her friend. But as both walked deeper into the hall, Valeria acknowledged a few greetings with soft nods. She didn't linger. She didn't entertain unnecessary conversations. She was above that, untouchable, unbothered, perfect. Valeria, Miranda called softly. Valeria turned slightly to her, her expression calm, unreadable. Their eyes met, one admired by the world, the other burning quietly behind elegance. You've already stolen the night, Miranda said lightly, her tone sweet but edged. Valeria held her gaze for a brief moment, then feigned a smile. I didn't come to steal anything, she replied smoothly. The night simply knows where to look. A silence fell between them, heavy, polished, dangerous. Miranda let out a soft laugh, but her eyes didn't match it. Of course it does, she said. Meanwhile, around them, the gala continued, loud, rich, powerful. But at the center of it all stood two women, one who never needed to compete and one who refused to lose. And tonight, behind the diamonds, the laughter, and the perfection, something was about to go terribly, uncontrollably wrong. The gala didn't just continue, it elevated. Music softened into something richer, deeper, live strings replacing background melodies. Laughter grew louder, more confident, conversations sharpened into negotiations, deals began forming in quiet corners, names were exchanged like currency, power recognized power. And at the center of it all, Valeria Kingsley. She didn't chase attention. Attention followed her. A circle of elite men had already formed around her, CEOs, investors, political figures, each waiting patiently for a chance to be acknowledged. Miss Kingsley, your recent acquisition was brilliant. Valeria, we should discuss a partnership soon. I've heard a lot about you. She listened, calm, composed, untouchable. Her responses were short but precise, her voice smooth, her smile controlled. She never tried too hard. That was her power. Just before the auction began, a young man stepped forward, adjusting his cufflinks with quiet confidence. Raymond Cole. Young, wealthy, calculated, and unlike the others, he didn't look intimidated. Miss Kingsley, he said, his voice steady but warm. Valeria turned slightly, acknowledging him with a composed glance. Mr. Cole, I've been hoping to meet you again, he continued. Your strategies, they're impressive. Valeria studied him briefly, not impressed but not dismissive either. You've done your research, she replied. A faint smile touched Raymond's lips. I prefer to understand the people I may compete with. Meanwhile, across the hall, Miranda Adams sat alone at her reserved table. Elegant, flawless, invisible. Her legs crossed neatly, posture perfect, but her eyes fixed on one person. Valeria, her best friend. Just then, the host's voice echoed across the hall, interrupting the connectivity. Ladies and gentlemen, the room shifted instantly. Lights dimmed slightly. All attention moved to the stage. Welcome to the highlight of tonight's event, the silent auction. Each guest quickly got their numbered bidding card. No shouting, no chaos, just quiet signals of wealth and intent. Raise your card, state your power. Valeria elegantly moved to the front row. Not assigned, not announced, just understood. A waiter stepped forward, placing a glass of deep red wine beside her. Thank you, she said softly. Now back at the front. The first item appeared on the screen. A rare, museum-worthy painting. The host smiled. Bidding begins. A brief silence, then a card lifted. Another followed, then another. Numbers rising quietly across the room. No voices, just signals, just power. Valeria didn't move immediately. She observed, calculated, waited. A man across the hall raised his card confidently. Another countered. The tension built, silent, controlled. Then Valeria lifted her card, smooth, unhurried, final. The shift was instant. One bidder lowered his card. Another hesitated, then followed. Because they all understood something without saying it. When Valeria bids, you're either ready to lose or ready to fight a battle you won't win. Sold. A soft ripple of applause followed. The auction continued. A vintage timepiece, a luxury retreat, confidential investment shares, each item more exclusive than the last, each bid more strategic. Valeria remained effortless. Raise, win, move on. No struggle, no hesitation, just control. People murmured, "She's unbelievable. Who even competes with her?" No one wins against Valeria Kingsley. Miranda heard every word, her lips curved slightly, but not in admiration, something else, something darker. From a few seats away, Raymond Cole watched, quietly, carefully. His gaze shifted between the auction and Valeria, observing her rhythm, her timing, her restraint. Not just a woman of beauty, but of precision. Back at the front, Valeria finally reached for her wine, slowly, gracefully. Her fingers wrapped around the glass with effortless control. She lifted the glass toward her lips, calm as ever, untouchable as ever, and sipped. And then, right in the middle of the silent auction, it hit her. A sharp, unfamiliar, unforgiving twist in her stomach. Her fingers slightly around the glass, her breath paused, her face remained calm, perfect, unreadable. But inside, something was very, very wrong. She sat still, elegant as ever, pretending as if nothing had happened. Then her stomach twisted again, harder, sharper. Her lips curved into a soft, controlled smile as the auction continued like nothing was wrong. Item 6 was closing. Cards were raised, numbers climbed, soft applause followed. Everything was moving perfectly. Everything except her. Then a tiny silent release. So soft, no sound, but deadly. Valeria's eyes flickered for a split second. She didn't move, didn't react, didn't breathe too deeply. Believing no one noticed, a few seconds passed. Then, a man behind her shifted slightly. Another guest frowned faintly. Someone subtly touched their nose. The air changed, not dramatically, but enough. The AC hummed above, circulating the air. But this refused to disappear. It lingered, stubborn, disrespectful. "What's that smell?" someone whispered faintly. "I don't know. It's strange." Valeria kept her gaze forward, calm, untouchable, as if she wasn't the source of silent destruction. Then her stomach rumbled. Loud, deep, echoing. This time, it wasn't silent. Valeria froze. Her heart skipped. Her grip on the glass tightened so slightly. What's happening to me? She knew. That was not something you ignore. That was a warning, a dangerous one, screaming, "You need a restroom. Now." Item 7 appeared on the screen, a rare luxury asset everyone had been anticipating. Eyes shifted, not just to the screen, but to her. Valeria Kingsley always bid, always won. Card lifted, another followed. People waited, expecting Valeria to close the bid as usual. But instead, Valeria slowly placed her glass down, and then she stood up. "Excuse me," she said softly, her voice still controlled, still elegant. And just like that, she walked away, leaving everyone gasping. At first, she maintained her pace, graceful, steady, composed. But the moment she turned the corner, her hand moved to her stomach, pressing lightly, holding it. "Where is the restroom?" she muttered under her breath. She reached the first one. Occupied. Second one. Occupied. Third. Locked. Her breathing changed, slightly faster. Another silent release escaped, longer this time, more dangerous. The hallway suffered. The smell spread quickly in the confined space. Heavy. Valeria shut her eyes briefly. This is not happening. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? A cleaner pushing a cart approached from the other end. Valeria turned quickly. "You, please. Is there another restroom here?" The cleaner looked at her, slightly startled, then nodded. "Yes, ma, outside, near the security post." Outside, Valeria didn't hesitate. She turned immediately and headed back toward the main hall. Now, she walked faster, or at least she tried to, but her heels slowed her down. Each step felt like a risk, each movement dangerous. "Ma'am," a waiter stepped into her path with a tray. She stopped abruptly, forcing a polite smile. "Not now," she whispered, her voice tight. Two guests approached. Valeria, just a quick handshake. She forced it with a brief smile. Her stomach twisted again, harder. And then, like fate wasn't done with her, Miranda appeared. "Valeria," she called, stepping directly into her path, smiling. Valeria's patience thinned instantly. "I need to step out for 5 minutes," she said quickly, her voice shaking. Miranda blinked. Then she burst into laughter. "Why are you sweating like a Christmas goat?" she said, her voice dripping with amusement. Her eyes scanned Valeria. "And why is your body shaking like this?" She leaned in slightly. "Come and sit down. Win more like before." Valeria's jaw tightened. Another rumble rose. Stronger, more aggressive. She froze. For a second, everything in her body focused on one mission: don't let it out. Meanwhile, across the hall, Raymond Cole watched, carefully, closely. Something was off. He couldn't explain it, but he knew Valeria, the untouchable Valeria, didn't look in control. Her movements, her tension, her urgency weren't coordinated. "This isn't her," he muttered to himself. And somehow, that bothered him more than it should. The crowd around her, the delay, Miranda, and the public pressure. Too much. So he did the unthinkable. Raymond staggered slightly. Then suddenly, he collapsed. A loud gasp filled the room. "Mr. Cole, what happened? Call someone." Instant chaos. Attention shifted immediately. People rushed toward him. Waiters dropped trays, voices overlapped, confusion took over. And just like that, the spotlight left Valeria. She didn't wait, didn't think, didn't look back. She rushed out, fast, uncontrolled, desperate, out of the hall, past the entrance, toward the security post. "Please," she said, her voice no longer calm. "I need to use the restroom now." As she stood there, trying to explain, another gas escaped. This one, aggressive, unapologetic. The security man froze, his face twisted instantly. "Madam," he exclaimed, stepping back, "do you have gas problem or you came for gas competition?" He waved his hand in front of his face. "This one is bad-o." Valeria closed her eyes briefly. Dignity? Gone. Control? Gone. And the worst part, this night wasn't over yet. A few minutes later, the night had not fully settled from the chaos. Whispers still moved through the hall. "Did you see how he collapsed? Is he okay now? What really happened?" Near the entrance, Valeria stood still for a brief moment. Composed again, she turned to the gateman. "Please, I'm sorry for earlier," she said quietly, her voice softer than before. The gateman nodded, giving a polite smile. "No problem, madam. It happens." His tone was respectful, but his eyes carried a hint of amusement he tried hard to hide. Valeria exhaled lightly, then turned and walked back into the hall. The moment she stepped in, heads turned again. But this time, it wasn't just admiration, it was curiosity, suspicion, attention of a different kind. At the center, Raymond Cole was already back on his feet, calm, collected, speaking quietly with a few associates as if nothing had happened. Valeria walked toward him, graceful, measured. Every step regained. The room subtly quieted. Eyes followed her, watched her, waited. She stopped in front of him. Their eyes met. A moment passed. Thank you, Valeria said, her voice clear enough for those nearby to hear. You saved me from an embarrassment I wouldn't have recovered from. A soft ripple of murmurs spread across the room. Saved her? From what? Raymond smiled slightly. Not proud, not loud, just certain. I like to stay in control of my environment, he said calmly. Then his gaze shifted, past Valeria, to someone else. Miranda. The air changed instantly. I noticed something, Raymond continued, his tone steady. Before the auction began, Miranda stiffened. Her smile faded slightly. I saw when you spoke to the waiter, he said. The room grew quieter, and I saw when that same waiter added a capsule into Valeria's drink. A sharp gasp cut through the hall. Miranda's eyes widened. Raymond, watch your tongue, she snapped quickly, her composure cracking. Raymond turned fully toward her now, calm, unshaken. If you'd like to challenge it, he said evenly, I can request for the CCTV footage to be displayed on the main screen. Dead silence swallowed the room. All eyes shifted to Miranda, waiting, watching, judging. Her lips parted, but no words came out. For the first time that night, Miranda Adams couldn't speak. Her shoulders dropped slightly, her confidence gone. Valeria, she said slowly, her voice no longer sharp. I'm sorry. Her eyes lowered. I've always been jealous of you. The confession landed heavily. I hated how everything always went your way, she continued, her voice shaking slightly. The attention, the admiration. She swallowed. I let it get to me. I was even the one that made your two previous suitors walk away and accused you wrongly. The room was completely still now. Valeria looked at her. Long, quiet, unreadable. No anger, no reaction. Just silence. Then Raymond stepped forward and did something no one expected. He went down on one knee. A collective gasp filled the hall. Valeria, he said, looking up at her, his voice firm but sincere. From the moment I saw you at the previous business meeting 3 months ago, I knew you are more than just this to me. And when I observed you again tonight, I realized something. You're not just a woman people admire, he continued. You're a woman worth protecting. Everyone stared, but Raymond continued, please, let me be that man. Let me stand beside you, not as competition, but as your partner. The tension in the room became almost unbearable. Valeria stared at him, still, calm. But this time, something shifted in her eyes. All my life, she said slowly, no man has ever truly appealed to me. But tonight, she looked at him more deeply. You did the unthinkable. You gave me a signal from afar, and I caught it. You feinted to shift the attention away from me. You are not just a man. You are the man. Then, she smiled softly. Yes, Raymond, I will marry you. The hall exploded. Cheers, applause, excitement. People stood to their feet. Some laughed, others clapped loudly. It was no longer just a gala. It had become a moment, a story, a spectacle. Raymond stood, pulling her into a light embrace. Cameras flashed, voices filled the air, and in the middle of it all, 2 people stood united. Across the room, Miranda couldn't take it. The laughter, the whispers, the stares. It was too much. She turned quickly and walked out. Alone, defeated behind her, the celebration continued, louder than ever. And just like that, the night that was meant to break Valeria became the night she won everything. And just like that, the night meant to embarrass her became the night she won everything. Miranda tried to bring her down, but ended up destroying herself. Valeria almost lost her dignity, but gained respect, power, and love. Lesson? Not every setup succeeds, and not every strong woman breaks under pressure. If this shocked you, drop your reaction in the comments. Would you survive this situation? Like, share, follow. More crazy stories coming, besties.